included in the copy that is on your hand. That is already an amended version of the original proposed resolution, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And just on the nomenclature, I just want to clarify. When we say housing settlement, how does it differ with the housing project?
Could be a subdivision developed by the government or a private sector to accommodate middle or upper class members of the society, whereas a settlement is something that is, it could also be a project of the government or the private sector, but it is intended for the underserved or unserved portion of the population who are homeless or displaced. Mr. Speaker.
So, Mr. Speaker, we are eyeing for housing settlement, which will include probably with grant of land and grant of livelihood, because this will be a development of a settlement area. Is this the intention of the resolution, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, because the beneficiaries of these proposed resolution are those internally displaced persons during the Typhoon Paeng, who until now are still living in the makeshift tents. I can only say what I witnessed in Kusyong Daturin Sinswat, because they are the most affected in that calamity, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Speaker, don't we think that this resolution is already late, because the government of the day is already doing its rehabilitation, recovery and early recovery and rehabilitation projects in the Paeng devastated areas?
I think this is not late, Mr. Speaker, because I filed this kailan pa ba to? Several months ago, and it's only now that it was tackled in the plenary.
So, meaning to say that the filing of the resolution, Mr. Speaker, was not late, but the actions on the committee, of the committee on the resolution, or maybe not the committee, even its referral from the plenary to the committee was late.
Mr. Speaker, it's better late than never.
Yeah, I agree with you exactly, but I'm pointing out a very important lesson here, that when we talk about emergencies and response initiative, it should be a priority agenda of the plenary and the committee. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, there being no other interpellator, I move to terminate the period of interpellation.
The period of interpellation is terminated.
Mr. Speaker, I move to terminate the period of amendment.
The period of amendment is terminated.
Mr. Speaker, I move to
Proposed resolution number 1. Proposed resolution.
Mr. Speaker, I move to approve resolution 101 as
There is a
reported
move
by
to approve proposed resolution number 1. Hearing no objection, it is duly seconded. The motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now on item 11 for our privilege hour, and I am very happy to introduce Mr. Speaker. May we recognize MP Baileng S. Mantawil for her privilege speech.
Yes, a 1-minute suspension.
Session resumes.
Mr. Speaker, for our privilege hour, we are very privileged to have our next speaker, no other than MP Baileng S. Mantawi.
I am privileged to acknowledge and recognize the lady from Cotabato City.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Thumma ma ba'du, a'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests, please lend me your ears for once again. I am here standing before you, this honorable august body, with a heavy heart, burdened by the weight of disappointment and frustrations. Mr. Speaker, it is with great dismay that I bring forth yet another grave matter that demands our immediate attention. A matter that strikes at the core of justice, transparency, and the well-being of our people. We have repeatedly called upon the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines and the Department of Transportation to complete the renovation of the Cotabato Airport. Our voices, fueled by the hopes and dreams of our people, echoed through the corridors of power. Yet, we have been met with nothing but silence, a deafening silence that speaks volumes of indifference and disregard. But what is even more disheartening is the recent revelation that Cotabato Airport has been closed for renovation. The overlaying of asphalt on the runway without any much prior notice and coordination given to the Bangsamoro Ministry of Transportation and Communication. Nitong nakaraang araw, nagpasa tayo ng resolusyon in light of the current situation affecting the peace process at sa magkaparehong tema, the lack of coordination that triggered the violation of protocols in the realms of the sign of the peace agreement. Let that sink for a moment. Our very own ministry, entrusted with the responsibility of managing the airport, was left in the dark, cast aside like an afterthought. This action, or rather this inaction, runs counter to the official handover of the airport's management to the MOTC. It undermines the principle of the transparency and accountability and cooperation that should govern our institutions. It disregards the importance of communication, consultation, and a mutual respect in matters that directly impact the lives of our people. It regards of the importance of communication and also the principles of transparency, accountability, and cooperation that should govern our institutions. Imagine the plight of would-be pilgrims, the Hajjis, who were forced to reroute their flights at a moment's notice. These individuals, driven by faith and unyielding desire to fulfill their religious obligations, were left stranded, confused, and inconvenienced. Their pilgrimage, a journey of spiritual significance, became marred by the inefficiency and lack of consideration exhibited by those responsible for the management of the Cotabato Airport. Isipin mo ang hirap at dagdag na gastusin para sa paglipat-lipat ng dadaungang airport ng ating mga kawawang OFW na tinitiis ang hirap sa ilang taong pamamalagi sa ibang bansa, na tinitipid lamang ang kanilang kakaunting kita para may madala sa kanilang pamilya? Paano pa kaya ang ating mga Hajjis na dapat ay masaya sanang sasalubungin ng kanilang pamilya at kaibigan upang mahagkan at mayakap for once in a lifetime allegiance of faith? Hindi na nila ito lahat magagawa dahil napakalaking perwisyo at kabastusan na hatid sa ating ang kakulangan ito. We cannot stand idly as our people suffer the consequences of these haphazard decisions. We cannot allow the silence to drown out their voices, their grievances, and the frustrations. It is our duty as elected representative of the Bangsamoro people to raise our voice in defense of justice and demand answers from those who have failed us. Hindi tayo dapat manahimik habang ang ating mga mamamayan ay nagdurusa na bunga ng mga pasulong na desisyon na ito. Hindi natin dapat pabayaang malunod ang kanilang mga boses, ang kanilang mga hinaing, at ang kanilang mga pagsalungat. Tungkulin nating mga kinatawan na ipagtanggol ang karapatan ng ating mga kababayan na humihingi na kasagutan mula sa mga nagkukulang sa atin. Today, I implore each and every one of you to join me in holding the CAP and DOTR accountable for their actions, or rather, their lack thereof. We must demand an explanation for their disregard of the MOTC, for the absence of transparency and consultation, and for the inconveniences inflicted upon our people. We must stand united across party lines and political affiliations in our pursuit of justice and the rights of our constituents. Let us send a powerful message, one that reverberates through the halls of power, shaking the foundation of indifference and complacency. Let our words be fueled by the passion and determination of those we represent. Let us not falter our duty, because it is our duty to serve, to protect, and to uplift the lives of our people. In conclusion, I beseech you, my fellow members of the Bangsamoro Parliament, to rise above the parties that may separate us and unite in the pursuit of justice and accountability. Let us demand answers. Let us fight for the rights of our people that is carried out with proper coordination, transparency, efficiency, and utmost consideration for the welfare of our people. Thank you, and may justice prevail in our noble endeavors. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Floor leader, what is the action on the privileged speech of the lady from Cotabato City?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the speech of MP Baileng Esmenta will be referred to the Committee on Transportation and Communications.
Can you also move that it be part of the records for today, the journal today?
I move that the speech form part of the record for our journal today, Mr. Speaker.
There is now a motion to refer the speech of the lady from Cotabato City to the Committee on Transportation and Communication, that it form part of the records and the journal of today's session. It's been seconded. The motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, for the next speaker, may we recognize the Honorable Deputy Speaker and Minister of the Ministry of Transportation and Communication, no other than the Honorable Paisalin Tagon, Attorney Paisalin Tagon.
The gentleman from Lanao del Sur is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. That was a very nice speech coming from a fellow member of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. Thank you very much. As stated by the one who rendered the privileged speech, we cannot sit idly and let our voice be heard. Kanina po, Mr. Speaker, kaninang umaga, for the information of all and the public, for transparency's sake, nakipagpulong po ang iyong habang lingkod sa Philippine Airlines Cebu Pacific, wala doon ng DOTR representative at saka DPW's representatives and the contractors itself, because I demand that they be present in today's morning meeting. We, for the record, Mr. Speaker, we came to know of the closure of the runway kanina kagabi lang, kahapon, at around more than past 6 p.m. And the notice were given later at evening also. So imagine the inconvenience to the public na bigla na lang walang flight sa Awang Airport. It will create so much inconvenience to the public. That's why I told the CAP representative, the PAL and Cebu Pacific na sabi ko, pagpapasok ka sa bahay, dapat man lang kumatok kayo. And you'd not knock our door that you are close this runway. Remember that this airport was turned over to the Bangsamoro government. Remember that we are an autonomous government. You should inform us of any situation. In spite of that, Mr. Speaker, for the information of the public, kaya nila sinara yung runway because dilapidated na. Yung sinasabi nilang runway 1.0 sa pinaglalandingan ng airline ay bugbog na raw dahil yung runway 2.80 yung sa dulo ay hindi na nagagamit. So what they are using now is the runway 1.0. Bugbog na raw. For the information of the public, the contract started on November 2022. And until now, hindi nila nagagawa. Imagine, yun pala sa runway 1.0 dahil masyadong bugbog, yung naglaland dyan sa Cotabato, kaya pala pag naglaland tayo, na biglang yung eroplano para kang nagdadaan sa rough road dahil delikado, did not inform the public about it. Kaya tumagal, Mr. Speaker, ang pag-construct dyan kasi nagkamali din ng specification. The mixing of the asphalt were not done thoroughly. Kasi